What's one mistake beginners make in landscape photography that instantly ruins the shot? How do I make my living as a full-time photographer? And how can you make living as a photographer while still keeping it fun? These are some of the questions I'm covering in today's Q&A. And this is gonna be awesome. If you're new here, hi, I'm Hugo, and I take photos like this. I travel the world, make photos, and I help other photographers transform their photography and finally become proud of their photos and fulfill their photography potential. So, let me grab my coffee. Feel free to grab yours, and then let's dive in. And tea lovers don't now feel excluded. I just start my mornings with coffee, so I still love tea. I love tea. And before we hop in, if you haven't yet joined Focus Notes, my newsletter, where I share exclusive insights, then make sure to join that from the link in the description. But yeah, once you've done that, let's dive in. So indeed, the first question that you guys left over on Instagram was that what's one mistake that beginners make in outdoor photography that instantly ruins a shot? And immediately when I saw this question, I knew what to say here. Because this isn't just in outdoor photography, because this is overall in photography. But yeah, outdoor photographers also do this. And it is that they don't make it clear what to watch. That's the main point. It might sound very obvious, of course people know what to watch. But it's often not as simple, because when it's obvious to you, is it really obvious to the person who's watching it? So you need to know how to do that. Because if you don't know how to also make it clear for other people, then they're gonna be wandering around your photograph, and they don't have a clue what to exactly watch. And unfortunately, I see this a lot of the time. This is one of the main things I teach to my students in Storylines, my photography mentorship, because if you don't get this right, if you can't control where the viewer is watching, then the photo just becomes so much worse. So this is absolutely crucial to do, and most don't do it well. So that's why I did develop the eye magnet method, which I do indeed teach my students. But yeah, that's the one thing to definitely learn to do. All right, question number 2. How to enjoy photography and get paid? If you just get paid, it is most of the times boring. And you are very right about this. Most photographers who do end up building businesses end up building prisons for themselves. They don't start with thinking and designing the business deeply. So what I have helped photographers with business side is we indeed start with getting clear how they want their life to look like. And it all starts from there. If you just go and start getting some random gigs and then you commit to long-term contracts, it's probably not the right thing for you. Let me tell you some of my story, how I got now into photography. This does lead to this other question, which was that how did you get from a hobby to making a living out of photography? But when I started, my first ever kind of gig was to do a promo on Instagram to my maybe 3,000 followers back then. And I was photographing a backpack, and I got the backpack for free in exchange. And that was really cool. Then at some point then I got more like paid stuff. And I did some very cool shoots for some bigger brands as well, like some like very known in Finland, like Halti, like an outdoor brand. Maybe it's also in other countries in Europe. Then I did for MLL, which is like how do I say, nationwide organization protecting children and so on, and like for car rental company as well. And I realized from these shoots, especially from the car rental one and this outdoor photography one, even though there were like very fun aspects to it, I found myself in a position that I was thinking, what do I photograph for these people, like for these clients, and then I didn't photograph what do I want to photograph. And for me, that was a big problem because I never started photography as a thing to make any photos for other people. It was just to capture my own adventures, travels, and express myself. So when then I noticed that I wasn't anymore taking photos for me, this was like a big red flag, like an alarm going on that I need to change something. From there, then I started selling NFTs. Some of you might know them, some of you might not, but imagine they are like digital prints. So I basically sold my photos without actually printing them to collectors. And I was pretty successful in that. And then I did jump away from that because of how I saw the digital art market was going, and I thought it's best to build a personal brand and then utilize that for selling whatever I want. And right now I do help photographers transform their own photos and indeed become proud of their work. And now this is what I do as a living. But if you want to make a living too, out of making photos, you need to get clear on, how to do that. For me, and what I do teach many people who say, like, I want to travel and take photos, then it's very important that you do not just take local clients. Because if you take local clients, you're gonna do local shoots, and where are you gonna stay? Locally. So if you want to travel, you need to then have clients from different parts of the world if you want to take photos for them. But if you do help them in other ways, then you maybe can work from anywhere. So you need to start with design. Most people skip that part and they end up not loving what they do. And I can say I love teaching right now, like a lot. And photos are my marketing material, so to say. And yeah, I love this. I can work from anywhere. And yeah, it's sick. So you can do this too. But basically, how the transition from a hobby to making a living did happen was, well, step by step. I didn't really have superb guidance in the first steps. When I was, oh no, that's not true. I think, yeah, I did invest into something like in the very beginning phases of my business, which I set up in 2021. And that gave me a lot of understanding on business already. So, well, how to find clients, how to do my marketing, and how to also then sell to clients. And give me a second, our dog is crying. And yeah, so I got this course, I learned things from it, and I made this investment even though it was very uncomfortable for me at the time. And then after that I started implementing the stuff, taking action as you should. When you learn things, take them into action. And a lot of the times then, of course, I failed, and miserably. Especially because I didn't have personalized guidance, so there was still a lot of things I was figuring out on my own. I had some embarrassing like client mistakes that I did because I just didn't have the experience. But step by step, I started to understand how this works and how can I get the clients. And then, yeah, I felt pretty confident that whenever I could get a client, I could. And that was the case, really. Before then, I hopped away from client work and just transitioned to then selling my art online. So yeah, that's the story on that. So let's go to the next question. So if you have to pick one, 20mm prime or 100-400 / 70-200. Now, I'm gonna answer this for landscape photography because I don't know I'm not gonna comment on like portrait photos and stuff, but I would never pick a prime lens for landscape photography. Never. I think it's a horrible idea. I do use a 15mm prime for my nice photos, and that's because I do need that extra light. And prime lenses typically, they, have lower f-stop numbers, so I can get more light and thus better photos, better quality photos. But when it's like golden hour and stuff, or midday, I think a prime lens is useless for landscape photos. I don't see why would you use it. I think it's the worst choice you can go for. And while you can still get, of course, good photos with the prime lens, I feel you are just risking too much with it. Because what zoom lenses do offer you is the flexibility, the flexibility to adjust for the moment. And how I have found out is that when my best photos happen, it's often I need to be very fast. It's not like I can take hours and like setting up the shot. Like I need to be very, very fast, and I need to change not just the settings like on the fly, but also the focal length. But then if I have a prime lens, I can't do it. I can't maybe zoom in if there's something very cool happening. So I would never choose a prime lens over a zoom lens. However, now here also the question might be, would I shoot with a wide angle or a telephoto? And in this case, depends on the scene. If I had to pick one, then I would go with the 20mm because I tend to shoot more wide angle photos. But if I would have an option for a zoom wide angle, I would absolutely go with that one. Right now I'm shooting a lot with 24-105 and it gives me a lot of flexibility. And I'm really liking it. Then, what is the best exposure for night photos? So here I can't say an exact one for you. I can just say how I calculate my exposure basically when it comes to night photos. Assuming there's no northern lights. So I use the rule of 500. And basically this means you take 500, you divide it by your focal length, and if you do have a crop factor like in the camera, so you don't shoot with a full frame, then you need to still have this into the equation. But yeah, when you divide 500 with the focal length and times that with the crop factor, you do get the maximum exposure time. So I believe with 50mm on a full frame, you should be able to get 33 seconds at maximum. And what this allows is that the stars in the sky, they are still gonna be sharp. So if you do end up shooting with longer than 33 seconds, then there's gonna be star trails, and that often doesn't look nice if they're accidental. So yeah, that's how I go about the exposure really for night photos. If it's northern lights, then you just need to adjust the shutter speed based on how fast the northern lights are going, and yeah, so that's how that goes. All right, then the next question. The technicalities overwhelm me. How to easily go past that during the learning process? So now I'm not exactly sure what you mean by technicalities, but I would assume it comes to the camera. So you don't have the control over camera. And I have good and bad news. Let's start with the bad ones. So the bad news is that there's not a true shortcut to this. That you just need to like learn this. And what I advise my students is that they need to be so good controlling their camera that they can do it blindfolded. And I really mean that. Not like that you need to know everything blindfolded, like every setting in your camera. I don't know every setting in my camera after 70 years of using this camera, and I don't need to know. But there are certain things that I must know. And when I can do this blindfolded, so I don't need to consciously think where's the button, how do I change this stuff up, then I can be very fast. And this is really the thing. And there is somewhat of a shortcut, really, and that is my manual muscle blueprint, and I provide this in Storylines mentorship, and this basically allows you to get these things into your muscle memory, so it's very easy to change these things up, and you don't need to be missing out on as many shots as what you used to be missing out on. And I have a framework for how we get this muscle memory for you. So yeah, this is an important thing to master. And yeah, if you do want to work with me in Storylines, whether it is to get control of your camera faster so you can actually get the photos that you dream of, or if you already have understood how to control your camera, but your photos still aren't the best. Like like there's room for improvement, and you could really use guidance maybe after watching a lot of YouTube videos and stuff, and you're still getting where you want. Then join the waitlist down below in the description, and yeah, so just click there and join the waitlist. Cool. Then next question, soon in the end. What is somewhere you want to visit and photograph but are yet to? I have a lot of these places, frankly. So there's one country that I'm not gonna name because maybe this is I don't think it's a bad thing. I'm just an ambitious person, but I want to kind of get to get to this place first. It's a gorgeous country, but there's a reason why it's not being photographed that much, and it's the safety. And now I'm kind of figuring out how do I go to this place while keeping it still safe for myself. There's some kidnappings in the in the area last year. I think a Swiss tourist was killed there, and so on. So I need to plan that out carefully. But there's one country that is kind of hidden with its treasure, so to say, and I want to make it happen very soon. I just need to see when and how. But about countries that I can kind of say is I want to still explore more Japan. That's certainly something. I was in Japan for 1 month in January, and I want to go there again. And I'm planning on doing that for next year. Nothing locked in, but I want to go there again. It was so amazing, so amazing. I want to also go to China, and yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff. I don't really care about the city stuff, but I care about the like the monks, the temples. That's what I care about. So I would love to do that too. Then obviously some places like Greenland, Antarctica, Svalbard, I would love to do. And yeah, I mean, I have an endless list of places where I want to go. But the next one is like the priority thing to figure out is this one country I'm not now mentioning because it looks so amazing, like absolutely phenomenal. Sorry for teasing, but I want to be the person who kind of makes the place known in some ways. Although I'm not gonna be tagging the exact spots. All right, then I think we only have one or two questions, so let's go with this one. That is, why Georgia? So why Georgia? Now, if you do follow me on Instagram, you know I have been in Georgia. Right now, I'm back in Finland. I'm just late to my stories about Georgia, and yeah, it was a question I got a lot from not only from you followers, but also from my family and relatives. Like Georgia, like why do you go to Georgia? And especially like they were like thinking about this, the war. Not in Georgia, but it's some people think it's in a questionable area next to Russia. Although Finland is next to Russia too, so I don't know what's their point. Anyway, I went there because it's gorgeous, and frankly, it was also affordable. So I wanted to, like, when I was planning out adventures earlier in the year, like I wanted to move out, like out of my parents' house. Right now, I'm staying at parents because I'm in Finland and I don't have a place here. I'm soon heading to Norway, but I want to move out of here, and I didn't really know how that change was happening, and I didn't want to go to the most expensive places because, well, I mean, I was just moving out, and like even though I was already earning like pretty well, but I didn't know was it gonna be consistent, so I didn't want to go on like, hey, let's go to Antarctica. So then it was like Georgia. It looks amazing. It's not photographed really, and many people say it's a really nice country. So I thought to go there, and well, so I did. So I spent there for 3.5 weeks with my dad, exploring, hiking, and it truly was great. Truly was great, and it was a very different country, I must say, but I did enjoy it. And yeah, but for photography wise, the main thing was that it was gorgeous and not very photographed. That right now I'm especially liking to go to places where what is not very photographed, or going to places and finding spots that haven't been very photographed there. So that's it. Am I gonna go back to Georgia one day? Maybe. I think I have to, because the area where I was, although it was gorgeous, it didn't really reflect what people told me of Georgia. Like people said, like Georgians are very like friendly and like open and so on. But then later I learned that the area where I was, people are more like withdrawn. You could say kind of like us Finns, more quiet. So I didn't experience that, and I really want to experience that. So I think one day I'll be back. But anyway, let's see. Do I have still anything else? No, I do have one. I do have one because I promised somebody to still answer this on a previous Q&A because I kind of went over it. So and didn't answer it there. So it was that what's like the most kind of coolest moment that I have witnessed, or the most special. Can't recall the exact question, but like the best moment that I've experienced. And for that, I don't think there is, to be fair, a very clear answer. That I think one could say, yeah, like seeing the Northern Lights and so on, which wouldn't be untrue. But I think I would say it has to be something to do with an animal. Because this year especially I've got more into photographing animals, and I think this is a year where this transition at me has been happening, is to getting more like into animal photography, but also like kind of having animals in a landscape. So kind of combining the two. But what I've found is that when I photograph an animal, and especially monkeys, I really feel connected to them because I think, they are in many ways similar as to humans. So I really enjoy photographing them. And in Japan, I found it pretty special. I'm gonna put some photos here, not too many, but some. And like when I was taking these, I felt really connected. Really connected to these animals, like watching them with the eyes and taking these photos. It was very, very special. Then when I was in the jungle in Sumatra in Indonesia, photographing the orangutan and some other monkeys, it was also kind of the same feeling. So I would say it has to be probably like one of these like monkey encounters, and this made me see them in a different light, but then also to see myself in a different light and the world in a different light, and also make me want to photograph more of the fellow animals. So yeah, I'm gonna say those instead of the Northern Lights. The Northern Lights are amazing, but I can't say that those are moments that have truly changed me. So anyway, we're gonna wrap it up over here. I'm gonna head to barber. Finally, after 2 months, didn't want to go to barber in Georgia. Going to my trusted one here in Finlandia, and yeah. But if you want to work with me privately in my photography mentorship, and indeed you are serious about improving your photos, this is for serious people only, and I'm far from cheap. So if you want free stuff, then stay on YouTube, binging the stuff, like whatever. But if you are someone who's tired of watching YouTube stuff, like I was back in the day, and just want guidance, then this is for you. So just join the waitlist in the description, and I'm gonna be opening up spots soon. So I'll let you know when I do this, and I hope to help you personally transform your photos like I will help others do. You can see, for example, Finn's case study on the channel. You can watch that through. I interviewed him on the process. If you want to have a look at that. So but hopefully this was insightful, and I forgot to record this when I was recording the video. But if you found this video insightful, then you will also love learning about more mistakes, what you can avoid as a photographer, and you will find this video over here very helpful. So what's the next? And see you in the next one. Cheers.